All right, guys, you should be hearing me. If you're not hearing me now, you should be hearing me shortly. And let me just make sure everything is muted on my end. We're going to be talking about the imaginary universe of liberalism in which racism exists and is like a major problem. It's the worst thing ever. That's the imaginary thing. Such love. Sorry for the bad audio, guys.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Good morning, guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. La la.
Good morning, I'm James Hake of the Hake Report, and this is Sunday, June 30th, 2019, on the eve of the beginning of White History Month. And White History Month is in July, and Men's History Month is follows that in August, Men's History Month. And you just watched or heard audio or video of Andy Ngo, who's a conservative writer. So he's actually an independent journalist. Now he's writing for Quillette. Quillette is the same outlet on which that black young liberal guy who is against reparations and against affirmative action. He spoke at the congressional hearing on reparations for blacks for slavery and stupid stuff like that. Well, this black guy is also a writer for Quillette. So Quillette seems to be like a halfway decent outlet with independent, liberal, semi-liberal, but also conservative, generally truth-telling people, I guess. So, and that Andy Ngo, NGO, was assaulted up in Portland, Oregon. Yet another Antifa riot. They called it mostly peaceful protests. What happened to him was not peaceful, and it was not mostly. It was evil. You saw all the people like attacking him like demons. Let's watch it again, if you can. They look like little demons attacking him. And that's Antifa. They're anti-Nazi. Anti-racists are worse than the actual so-called racists. Watch this. Both men and women, look at this one. Crazy. So the whole idea was up in Portland, Oregon, there were two conservative demonstrations, one by supposedly Proud Boys or Patriot Prayer, one of those people, one of those groups. Proud Boys are pro-Western civilization, make babies, make America great again type stuff. They get into fights with Antifa because Antifa, they try to protect the good people from the Antifa people. Meaning that a free speech rally, Proud Boys used to show up and defend the innocent people from the evil people. And so they're known for getting into street fights with Antifa. And Patriot Prayer, basically much the same thing. Very similar situation. That's my impression of them. I don't really have. We've interviewed a few Proud Boys over time. And some of them, one guy came to church from like Atlanta. Generally decent people, they get to drinking. Like one guy came and he's not a member of the Proud Boys, but he said, isn't that a drinking fraternity, from Gavin McInnes? And Gavin McInnes is a guy who founded the Proud Boys and has basically wanted men to become like men again in the best way he knew how in his worldly thinking. So that's the Proud Boys. They showed up for a rally, apparently. Or I'm being told that it may have been Patriot Prayer, which they're up in that area too. Patriot Prayer being like, I don't know. Patriot Prayer has been on Tucker Carlson's show, the founder of Patriot Prayer. And they're the same thing. They basically want free speech and pro-America stuff, which happens to be pro-Trump. But there are other people who may participate who don't really like Trump. But they're generally positive. But then the Antifa think anybody that's not far, far, far left are racist Nazi scum. So this reporter, Andy Ngo, he's Asian, and he actually also happens to be homosexual. Openly homosexual, he says so. And they attack him. Actually, they had a hit out on him, for him. Going into this, he knew that they had basically dollar signs over his head, meaning Antifa was gunning for him, because he exposes Antifa as being a nasty, vicious, cruel, disgusting people. Violent, anti-anything. Antifa are the ones, one of the Antifa guys hit Richard Spencer in the face, ran up and sucker punched him. And you'll notice that that's what they'll do, is they'll run up and sucker punch and then run away. Or they'll throw these so-called milkshakes. A whole lot of Muslims, radical Muslims from England, have been throwing milkshakes at nationalists over there. And the milkshakes here at this at Portland, Oregon, the milkshakes here were allegedly, according to the police, basically wet concrete. It wasn't real milkshakes, it was wet concrete. They called it Quickcrete or something like that. Or something like that. And so they were throwing, and those have more weight and it dries on you and stuff like that. And they're known for attacking journalists. They hate journalists because they don't like being videotaped. They hide behind masks because they don't want they don't want to get arrested for the stuff that they do wrong, basically. They want to keep their anonymity. They're kind of like Black Lives Matter, very violent and destructive, anti-American, communist, just radicals, brainwashed, dumb people, demons, or demon-possessed. They look like little demons attacking Andy Ngo. So, and the whole idea is that Andy Ngo pointed out, one of the things Andy Ngo pointed out was that hate crimes are not on the rise. Hate crime hoaxes are on the rise. He wrote about that just this month. And we've known that for ever since before Trump, because and that college students are more likely to perpetrate hate crime hoaxes, so-called hate crime hoaxes. And they're like, oh, even though it was fake, it makes a bigger point. I'm being told they throw milkshakes here in the U.S. They also throw battery acid, sulfuric acid in the U.K. Yeah, they're nasty people, like the far left, the radical Muslims, which are far left. Those people also throw acid on people, disfigure them, just horrible things. It's terrible. So shout out to DLive, Facebook, YouTube, twitch.tv/The Hake Report. I'm still on, even though Jesse's suspended. Hey, CLC, Clovera, la la la. And I am on mixer.com/The Hake Report. Mixer.com/The Hake Report. Hey, CLC, you're there too. Isn't that nice? So, I wanted to also point out something. That they're living in a fake universe. They're supported by far left so-called journalists. But they are, these Antifa people, they are just the worst of the worst. And I'm going to pull up some proof. Some proof that the worst of the worst support them. Mitt Romney. Let's pull up this tweet from Mitt Romney. This was after the Charlottesville riots in which Antifa attacked the alt-right for no reason whatsoever. The alt-right were there and, pro-civic nationalists being like pro-America people who are like, hey, unfortunately or fortunately, we have the situation we're in where we have a very diverse country and whites are becoming a minority. We need American values on everybody. And so it was under the Antifa one, in the Antifa folder. So what Mitt Romney did after the Charlottesville riots of 2017, August 2017, Trump said that there were very fine people on both sides and there was violence on many sides and hatred on many sides. And he told the absolute truth. Because Antifa were the ones who were attacking the alt-right. And then one guy from the alt-right retaliated, apparently. And that man, beta male maybe, James Fields, was recently sent to for life in prison. Life in prison. And he pleaded guilty to hate crimes, federal hate crimes, so-called, which I don't know why he would do that or what happened there. But Trump told the truth that there were bad people on both sides. And he pointed out, what about the alt-left, Antifa, and Black Lives Matter? And there were blacks who were attacking. I saw one guy with like a blowtorch. I think it was a black guy with like a makeshift blowtorch out of hairspray and fire. I think it was either the black guy doing that or a white guy with like a flagpole. They were like about to go at it. And so Trump is the only one who told the truth about that situation. But everybody else, the media, the liberal media, the Democrats, the rhinos, said, oh, it's not the same because the people on the alt-right are Nazis, whatever that means, right? And then the people on the left are anti-racist. Like I said, anti-racist is worse than actual racist, so-called racist. Because most of the time, when somebody's being called racist, they're doing something or saying something that they have a right to do or say. Like discrimination based on, so-called based on race, you have a right to do that. Unless you're the government. And then even when the lefties say stuff that's so-called racist, I remember Jamie Foxx was like, he's like, in the movie Django Unchained, he's all, I get to shoot as many whites as I want. How cool is that? He said something like that along those lines. And so what he did, he had the right to be evil like that. But Antifa wants to attack him. And then so Mitt Romney, did you show the thing already? Mitt Romney says, not the same. One side is racist, bigoted, Nazi. The other side opposes racism and bigotry. Morally different universes. This is my hang up with people like Mitt Romney. I've run into a lot of people like Mitt Romney that they fall for this stuff. And they're supposedly Christians or Mormons or so-called conservatives, Republicans. Total rhino, total liberal brainwashed rhino who doesn't believe in what's true. And so it's a real mess. And then we have in the debates recently, Kamala Harris attacking Joe Biden for saying we didn't used to be this divided, even during segregation, even during the forced busing times, when I disagreed with these people who were against integration. This is Joe Biden being a liberal. We weren't this divided. I could work with guys that were Democrats that were vicious people, but I could still work with them. And he's talking about segregationists. And it's dumb. The whole thing is dumb, right? We are divided because of the far left. And so, but they want to push it even more. So Kamala Harris pipes up as the only black woman on stage because this is at the Democrat debates this week, I would like to talk about race. And she's like forcing her way into the conversation because she's not being asked a question. And so what happens is the moderators are like, oh, you can talk, but you're not supposed to talk, but you can talk. And so what she just forces her thing in and says, there were little girls that wanted to bus to be with the white people. I'm paraphrasing, butchering what she said. But she was like, I was one of those little girls, and it's very emotional for me, and blah, 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 and racism and stupid. So she's like, that little girl was me. And then she tweeted, somehow her account tweeted out a picture of her as a little girl in the middle of the debate. I don't know how she's tweeting and debating at the same time. Her staff tweeted out, right? But, and she looks like a nasty, hard little girl. Like, not a cute picture at all. But now they're selling T-shirts with this picture on her, of her as a little girl. She looks hard and jaded and nasty even then. And this girl is, I guess, from what Jesse tweeted about this, that she was bused to white Berkeley schools. She wasn't, ridiculous. She didn't grow up with a hard life. And she never experienced racism. Racism doesn't exist. And she's just dumb. But of course, Joe Biden's like stammering. And I don't get why she's so complaining about busing. So busing is when the schools generally were separated, right? There were white schools, there were black schools, because they lived in different areas, so it was kind of leftover so-called segregation. But no, the government wants to solve something that's not even a problem, and their solution is worse than the problem, makes things worse. Nobody liked integration for the most part. People did not like it, neither the blacks nor the whites. Busing was horrible. It cost these school districts a ridiculous amount of money. And nobody cared. A little kid, why is a little kid going to care about whether they're bused to school or not? So ridiculous. But she wants to act like it was, such a problem. And then the media act like, okay, so CNN literally says Kamala Harris shined. This is their reporting. This is not an op-ed. Shined in the debate when she went after Joe Biden. She did not shine. No normal kid cares about busing. None of what she said made any sense. And by the way, her Jamaican father was disappointed in her promoting pot. And I'm thinking that it might have to do with the fact that she's promoting a stereotype of Jamaicans, that they're all into pot. But that aside, she's like not for anything good towards blacks or Hispanics or whites or Asians or anybody in America. But the idiots fall for her. And she's promoting this false idea that she was somehow a victim, how this is so personal for me. And I guess that some people fall for that, specifically the media. The media fall for anything that's black and liberal. That's why they fell for Obama. They were like, oh, Obama. Now they're doing the same thing with Kamala Harris, which is quite predictable. Just empty, liberal, evil, nasty people. Meaning Obama and Kamala. And that's what the media are, so they fall for the same thing. They're liberal intellectuals. So this guy responds, and I will get to your calls, I appreciate you hanging on. But this guy responds, Ali Alexander responds, and CNN won't even name him. But he responds saying, he tweets out, pull this up because I didn't write it down. He said, Kamala Harris is not American black. Not American black. She is half Indian, meaning from India. Her mother was South Asian. And half Jamaican on her father's side. I am so sick of people robbing American blacks like myself of our history. It's disgusting. Now using it for debate time at #DemDebate2. These are my people, not her people. Freaking disgusting. And so he tweeted that out, saying, and his point is, this woman is not a descendant of so-called Jim Crow or slavery or anything like that. She's an anchor baby. She's a daughter of 2 immigrants who came here recently. She's an anchor baby. I think she was born here, unfortunately. And nowadays they have this fake idea of birthright citizenship. So she shouldn't even be allowed to run for president, honestly. She's kind of like a Ted Cruz anchor baby. Never mind. But anyways, like Ali Alexander tweeted this out, and Donald Trump Jr., Trump's boy, Donald Trump's son, tweets out, quote tweets him and says, "Wow, really? I didn't know this." And so New York Times and all the media jump on him because he's getting backlash because people think it's racist, that it's kind of like they're saying that Kamala Harris is not black enough. So New York Times, you can show it. New York Times says Donald Trump Jr., the president's eldest son, shared another person's tweet. They can't even name him, Ali Alexander. He's been around for a while. During the Democratic debate this week that falsely claimed Senator Kamala Harris was not black enough to be discussing the plight of black Americans. He later deleted it, which is so silly. First of all, it didn't falsely claim that. It didn't even claim that. It said that she had no relation to the American black experience, right? Because she's not. She's a Jamaican and Indian American anchor baby and liberal. And so she's lying about the plight of black Americans anyways. And so they falsely claimed that she... I wonder if they said that's the same thing about Justice Clarence Thomas. You know, when Judge Clarence Thomas in the early 90s was going to be Supreme Court justice, they're like, he's not black enough. I wonder if the New York Times said that that blacks falsely claimed that Justice Clarence Thomas was not black enough to serve on the Supreme Court. Stupid. Anyways, let me get to some calls. Lois, first-time caller out of Portland, Oregon. Lois, how are you?
I'm good. The name's Loaf.
Los. Hey, thanks for calling.
Hey, I just wanted to tell you that all that stuff you're seeing is all Patriot prayer. No Proud Boys were involved in anything that happened yesterday.
Interesting. Yeah, and you know what? I didn't even see any right-wingers. I didn't really pay too close of attention to the riots. But mostly all I saw was a whole bunch of Antifa liberals.
Yeah, if you rewatch it again, you won't see any black and yellow or any Fred Perrys on anybody fighting because the Proud Boys were 2 miles away doing a flag-waving ceremony because they don't want to put up with Joey and his BS.
Oh, Joey.
Patriot prayer.
So Joey is the Patriot prayer guy. Yeah. So they didn't want to associate themselves with the Patriot prayer. But did the Patriot prayer do anything wrong yesterday? I only saw Antifa acting out.
No, they didn't, but they're antagonistic to Antifa. In the past, they've gone out of their way to go to Antifa hangouts and challenge them to fights in the street.
This is like the old punk rock days. It's like the skinheads versus, I mean, I don't know if Patriot Prayer is remotely skinheads, but in the punk rock days, it was skinheads versus Antifa. And the Antifa was always known to be worse than the skinheads. But the skinheads got a bad rap because they associated themselves with, I don't know, maybe they called themselves neo-Nazis. I don't remember anybody ever calling themselves neo-Nazi, but they were like supposedly racist. And Antifa is supposedly anti-racist. But interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, they just called them right-wingers. But I didn't see Patriot Prayer mentioned in the articles that I read. So interesting, man.
Them at all, but that's exactly who Antifa was fighting, but they don't mention that. They mention Proud Boys, but there were no Proud Boys at that event.
Well, Andy Ngo is unaffiliated with both of those, isn't he?
He's more associated with Patriot Prayer than having anything to do with Proud Boys.
But is he affiliated with Patriot Prayer? I thought he was just a journalist.
No. He covers them because he knows that they're going to be attacked by Antifa. He's not associated with them.
Okay.
He knows that there's going to be Antifa violence when they show up.
Yeah. So what are you doing in Portland?
I've lived here all my life. I moved up here when I was 15 years old to go skating at the skate park, and now it's been 30 years.
Yeah. Has it gotten worse?
Oh, yeah. It's horrible now. Back when I moved here, it was a working class town that respected everybody and just wanted to be left alone. And now it's a weird socialist hellhole where there's poop all over the streets and homelessness, and you cannot wear a Trump shirt or show any sort of affinity towards Trump, or you're going to have a confrontation if you're in the downtown area.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen.
That's wild. Yeah, we had Gavin McInnes on the show, on Jesse Lee Peterson's show last year, and he said that the Antifa, many of them are, like college students or college professors or children of professors, spoiled, and then some of them are like lost boys, is what he refers to them as, and they are basically don't have parents or good parents. They're from the foster system. They'll stab people. And they're useful idiots, totally brainwashed. And I was thinking about how corrupted America has become. And it's like, you look at these people, they just inspire hatred. If you have any anger within, you look at them, man, you just want to hate them, right? And that's very corrupting because it just leads to more and more evil. It becomes like a vicious circle, and it's. I'm sorry to hear that if that's true what you're saying about Patriot Prayer, that they're antagonizing, because there's no point in doing that.
Well, that's the reason why we don't have anything to do with them. We used to be their bodyguards.
So you're a Proud Boy?
Woo-woo.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, interesting, man.
I wanted to get in touch with you because all over the news and everything that I'm seeing, especially on Fox News and on the Drudge Report, it says Antifa versus Proud Boys.
Yeah.
And
fake news,
in reality, the Proud Boys there was 50 of them.
I heard that there was like a woman, a young lady who was
Haley.
Haley, and what was the name of that thing? That was Him Too. That was at the Him Too movement.
Yeah.
So there was this. So there were two demonstrations. One was, I guess, Proud Boys, or that's what they thought it was, and then one was the Him Too movement. And the Him Too is talking about. It's an answer to the Me Too movement, where men are being falsely accused of rape and sexual assault and all kinds of false accusations against men. And so this young lady, Haley, I guess, is talking about the
Rebel Barbie.
What's that?
She calls herself Rebel Barbie on social media.
Okay. So anyways, the point is, like, they're protesting the false accusations against men, which that sounds nice. But Antifa didn't bother them?
No. That's who Antifa fought.
Oh, the Him Too movement.
Antagonistic.
So the Him Too movement was associated with the Patriot Prayer?
Yes, sir.
Wow, interesting.
One and the same.
Amazing.
Haley goes with him and gets right in the fights with him.
Wow.
I mean, she has bigger balls than most of them, to be honest with you.
All right, Los. Thank you for the update. I'll check into that too. Take care, man.
Hey, and I suggest getting Gavin on for the Fallen State if you pass that on to Jesse, please.
All right, appreciate the thing. Send that over to the Fallen State people. All right, Los. Take care. You gonna catch church? You gonna catch church with Jesse Lee Peterson?
Every Sunday, sir.
Nice. Appreciate it. Take care, man.
Proud of you, boy. Have a good day.
All right. Bye. See, nice guy, I think. Maze out of Dayton, Ohio. How are you doing, Maze? My favorite caller.
Hello, James.
Hey.
That didn't make no sense. I mean, you had people fighting against each other for no reason. I mean, Proud Boys and somebody else and the page and all of this. I mean, it's just a bunch of hatred. People don't even understand why they hate each other, sound like to me.
Right. They're calling people Nazis and stuff like that when they don't even have a clue what they're talking about. But I'll tell you one thing, Andy Ngo wasn't fighting, but they attacked him.
I don't know anything about these people. I don't know anything about them either because I sound like a bunch of crazy people. But why I call you is, why did Kamala Harris, do you know about her?
What do I know about her?
Yeah, why are you upset with her?
That's a good question. She's evil, nasty liar. That's one thing. That's about it.
Oh,
yeah, evil, nasty liar. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, this is your opinion you formed on your own, or somebody else formed that opinion?
Well, I don't know. I just look at her. She's an evil, nasty liar.
Oh,
Everything. When she talks black, that's so. When people who are, she talks like Obama. When you know how when Obama talks black, I saw this pic.
Obama?
I saw.
He talks black.
I saw this video that one guy tweeted out of her saying, "I'm not gonna do nothing that's only gonna help black people."
That's supposed to be black talk.
And she's talking very black, not gonna do.
I'm saying.
She's talking. She's fake.
Really?
Yeah, very fake.
I'm saying your opinion you forming without listening. Just like
looking
you saw her,
by looking
and
at
you read
her.
her somewhere, and you form your own opinion. That's what's wrong with the Looney Tunes. They form opinion through other people. They don't.
Who
form
are the
their own
Looney Tunes?
opinion by looking. The ones that's always got something to complain about because they don't like what she said to Joe Biden.
Oh, but she didn't say anything to Joe Biden. She said a whole lot of mess.
The question that she asked Joe Biden, they don't like it, and when you don't.
What question did she ask Joe Biden?
When she was discussing the busing and all of this stuff that he was with these.
Oh yeah, so he's all no, I won't. He said no, I won't apologize for that because I was against the Department of Education forcing the busing.
Well, then that's all he had to say. What he was against.
That is all. That is all he said.
Can I tell you the problem with the whole thing? Why people are upset with her? Because Joe Biden is, like I told you, there's not a dime worth of difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. They all think the same. And all of those that are upset about what happened, that's upset with black people and don't like black people.
You're so independent-minded.
No, I'm just telling you, I'm giving you my opinion. I don't form my opinion from other people. I listen to what they got to say, and then I form my opinion from it. I don't hate because other people want me to hate.
Amazing.
That's what's wrong with
So who are the Looney
people.
Tunes again?
What?
Who are the Looney Tunes?
I don't drink. I'm going to tell you, I don't drink.
But who are the Looney
smoke.
Tunes? That's good. That's good. I'm proud of
the
you.
Looney Tune people. The ones that just like they don't have brain power.
Are you a Looney brain
no,
power?
They don't
are you
have
a Looney
brain power.
Tune person,
They always
Maze?
want to find a reason to hate people because people told them to.
Are you a Looney Tune person?
No.
How do you know?
Because I'm not in a glass. I'm not living in a glass house trying to throw stones.
Sure.
And getting upset with people just because
right.
you don't like what Kamala Harris had to say, but you can't tell me why you didn't like it.
Yeah,
you
I
tell
did.
me why somebody else didn't like it.
I said it was retarded.
Excuse me?
I really don't care what she says about Joe Biden. I just know that she's lying.
And I really don't care when you say somebody says she's not black enough. Her skin tells what she is.
No, her skin doesn't tell her what she is.
Her and describe her, what
So you're as shallow as the liberal media, Maze. That's pathetic.
No, I'm not as shallow. No,
yeah, you're very shallow. It's pathetic because she has nothing to do. First of all, racism doesn't exist. Use your brain power. Racism doesn't exist, and she didn't care about not being bussed or being bussed. She did not care. She's lying. Use some brain power, Maze.
Let me tell you something, James. This is why they call themselves a racist then. Some people call themselves racist. So what are they supposed to be?
They're self-deceived.
Yeah, right. They self-defeated. As I say, stop hating people because somebody gave you the opportunity to.
That's not why people hate, Maze.
Find the reason why you hate.
Maze, people don't hate because they're told to. They hate because they have hatred in their heart.
Yes, they do. Because
No, they do not lie. You don't know what you're talking about, Maze. Use your brain power.
Every Easter they always trying to find a picture of Christ. One year they were looking at a cheese curl. One year they were looking at a honey bun. And you had dumb people following that they were going to see a picture of Jesus inside of a honey bun.
Why are you so concerned about what other people doing? You just like to be contrarian. Maze is just a contrarian. You just like to come on here and criticize people.
I'm showing you how you follow people.
No,
you don't form your own
you're not
opinion.
showing me anything.
No, I'm just letting you know, and that's what's wrong with people.
I'm not learning anything from this.
I don't like it, but I don't care.
All right.
Okay, so you have a good one. So you give me a reason why James formed his opinion to hate the lady, and why you can't say she.
Where's the hate? Where's the hate?
Her skin color show what color she is, just like Obama.
Dumb.
You're not gonna look at him as a white man.
That's retarded. That doesn't mean.
Man.
So whites don't have a right to talk about the black issues either.
No, they have a right to do. Yes, they have a right to talk about it. They got the right to let the black people tell them about how they are too. But you don't give them that right. Do they have the right to tell you about you?
No, but blacks are pretty dumb about
No, that's what
when
I'm trying to say.
they make up the idea that whites are racist when it's not even true. Anyways, Maze, I gotta go.
But yeah, you go and you tell them to have a good Sunday.
All right.
Church.
Thank you.
With the devil. Have a good one.
Whoa, who's the devil? Anyways, I wanted to point out it is the eve of White History Month. White History Month. I posted about it on my community post on YouTube, youtube.com/The Hake Report. Click on the community, and you'll see links to White History Month T-shirt and Men's History Month T-shirt. I wore this on Friday. Let me just show you something. This is Men's History Month. See that? Isn't this nice? Very nice. Shoot, I'm showing the wrong part. Men's History Month. And that's a picture of Booker T. Washington, who was a man, and he's speaking to a crowd. Very nice, and it says Men's History Month across the top. And on the bottom it says Booker T. Washington speaking, and then it says JesseLeePeterson.com. You can go to JesseLeePeterson.com and scroll down and look for the rotating banner ad. One says Jesse Lee Peterson Teespring. We have 3 Teespring stores. Jesse Lee Peterson Teespring, and that one will have this one. And we'll promote it so that it's more easily findable. And I also will be putting out this one. It's a newer design from the Bond Teespring store. Rebuilding the Family by Rebuilding the Man. Bond, Rebuilding the Man. Very nice T-shirt. Feels great on the body, soft. Good fit. So you can get that by going to rebuildingtheman.com and look for the Bond store, and then click on the Teespring, the Bond Rebuilding the Man Teespring store. It's excellent. It's a nice T-shirt. We have a few here if you're coming to church today. Otherwise, you can order them online via Teespring. Order them early, guys, because Teespring has great customer service, but they may take a while. They may not get it right the first time. So order early, and then it'll come in a matter of weeks, hopefully. And then, and if there's any problems, email them with your order number. Contact them through their website. I've done it a couple of times, and they're quite responsive, and they do try to get it right. So we like and appreciate Teespring for that. So, and they'll take care of you if there's any problems. So, very nice. Let me get to Mark out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Mark, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, James?
Doing fine, thank you.
Hey, so I called and I wanted to talk about something that I think is next level, and I think I'm going to call you out.
Are you on speakerphone?
No, I got a big old house, so
Okay.
Let me step into a better place.
All right, hold on, Mark. I'll put you on hold. Get there. Just check on him, call screener. Brian out of Northern California, first-time caller. How you doing?
Oh, hey, I'm doing good. My name is Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I am a ginger, too.
Right on.
Man, thank you for everything that you guys are doing.
Okay.
It's insane. And as I've been doing the silent prayer every single morning and beginning to do it at night, it's crazy how my mind has opened up and my soul and my body. And I want to thank you and all your team and Jesse Lee Peterson
Cool,
for
man.
never giving up hope. Thank you. It's shined a light out there.
Yeah. It's nice. It's waking people up. It's waking people up because people are, we thought we lost the country. I thought we lost the country when Obama was elected. I thought that all the millennials and younger were idiots, which more than half of us are, but a lot of people are waking up and turning around from being idiocy. And so that's nice.
Yes, like Jesse said, we've all been idiots because we've all been lied to.
You know what's funny is, like, Jesse shows love, right? And he's like, no matter how people hate him, he just shows love, tells the plain truth.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind if they embarrass themselves, but
it's so simple, man.
and it wakes people up. It kind of shows people another way other than because Antifa and all these other people, Black Lives Matter, some nasty people.
No.
And then there's like well-meaning people who may be lost in that madness that can wake up. And there's people waking up from all corners. Lesbians, former lesbians, former illegal aliens, alt-right people, some of the alt-right people who are into hating, because there are probably some alt-right who are not into hating. and just everybody, liberals, conservatives,
Yup.
everybody waking up. It's nice. And that's why I like
Right?
President Trump too, because he's like so
I
genuine.
love President Trump.
Yeah.
And I like Mr. Y. I think he's good competition too. Mr. Yang. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
But I have a question for you.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, for me, I call it resentment, but it's anger. And I realized that I have anger towards what I call hoity-toities. And what those are men and women in their little high castles with their little notebooks who've been hiding secrets, and especially about science and stuff. from
About what?
A lot of people about science. See, I study physics. That's what I do.
Okay.
And I'm a UCSD undergrad. And anyways, my question to you is, when it comes to an anger towards something you feel self-righteously indignant about like that,
Yeah.
how do you let go?
I would take Jesse's advice and just keep on praying like you're doing. Don't be mad at yourself for it, because just don't deny it, but don't you know how Jesse always responds to people. Don't judge yourself for being a judgmental beta male.
Yep.
because because you'll realize that you'll realize that
inside all of us in the fallen state, man.
you'll realize that you're
rise out.
you'll realize that you're in the same fallen state that the people that you're judging are. You know, I'm looking at the Antifa little demons. They're just outward demons.
You
Inwardly,
got me, man. You got me.
many of us are demons too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And thank you, man. This is how you guys are healing. At least me. I don't know anybody else's experience, but that's been my experience. And thank you. And please forgive me if I ever come at you guys with any anger or rage, because that's me getting healed. And God bless you guys.
All right, appreciate it, Brian. Make sure you catch church.
Man, I'll be in touch.
All right, cool. Take care.
I'll watch church. Bye.
All right. Let me get back to Mark out of Indianapolis. Mark wanted to call me out.
How you doing, buddy?
Doing fine, thank you.
How you doing, buddy? Okay, so look, I'm not trying to be aggressive, but this is, I really think this is amazing. It's something I found this channel called Transpocalypse Now, and it just details that all these politicians, Nancy Pelosi's sons or daughters, are clearly transgender.
So you're convinced of this? You're convinced that these politicians and their children are transgenders?
And here's why.
By seeing a YouTube video?
No. It's once you see it with your naked eye, you can't unsee it.
But no, you didn't see it with your naked eye. You saw it on YouTube, right?
Well, then also there's what do you call it? Not just YouTube. When you see
Mark,
you see
I recommend not being slanderous, because that's slanderous to say that.
Okay, they seem to be transgender. So if you Google Alexandria Pelosi, that's a man. That's not a woman. So if Nancy Pelosi is chanting the equality,
that's her daughter.
That her children are trans.
That's shameful, man. You shouldn't. If you, man, you shouldn't be getting into this.
To tell the truth.
Why are you getting into this?
Because if you want to, because they're Satan is their daddy.
How old are you?
And how's that relevant?
Just curious.
35.
Okay, man, you're from Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
man.
I don't see.
Are you white?
So, well, hey, I got Native American blood. That's what people say.
Okay. All right, Mark, I gotta go, man. Take care. Crazy. He's out. What's that noise? All right. Sorry, Mark. That's crazy. You gotta chill out. Scott out of Colorado. How are you doing, Scott?
Wow, that last caller.
Yeah. Everybody got their issues.
It's an interesting Sunday to jump onto your show.
Yep.
I want to talk about Trump going into North Korea.
Isn't that nice? Yes. So it's Trump. Trump went into North Korea, guys, and he tweeted to Kim Jong-un. Do we have that tweet? I think we might have it. So we might or might not. I could be wrong. So he tweeted the other day that he tweeted to Kim Jong-un saying, "I'm going to be meeting with Moon who's the president of South Korea, and so he basically said, I'm going to be in the area, and so I would like to go meet you at the DMZ, demilitarized zone, and just to shake your hand and say hello. And so if you see this, hit me up, basically was what he was saying. And so he does that, and sure enough, it happened. And people are talking about embarrassing. Oh, we're conducting foreign policy by tweet. And, you know, the liberals are naysayers doing it. And, of course, sure enough, it happens. During his South Korea visit, he goes, and I think he might have been the first president to cross into North Korea.
Yep.
Isn't that nice?
Very first. Just take a look when you watch that video again at Kim Jong-un's face. Trump's got him eating out of his hand now.
Yeah, because
He's over enamored.
isn't that so flattering?
Honored.
The president
He
tweets
was so
you.
honored.
Of course. That's nice. President Trump.
We really got an alpha male for president.
Yeah. You know, did you hear about his press secretary? I do have this headline. His press secretary got roughed up. The new one, her name was Stephanie Grisham. She got roughed up because so the North Korean security guards, whatever, were kind of blocking the view of the American press so that they couldn't see Trump and Kim Jong-un meeting. So she takes it upon herself to push them aside and said, go, go, go. And she gets bruised and beaten up by the North Korean security guards, potentially causing an international incident. But
Exactly.
crazy.
What's that all about?
It's in the main folder. It's crazy, man. But the nice thing is that Trump met with Kim, and if anything, I see him, if anybody can solve this situation, it's President Trump. Where
James,
the North Korean want to build nuclear weapons and potentially attack whoever. And they're like major censorship in that whole country of North Korea, where the people don't even know what's going on, according to what I've heard from American media, that they think that their president is God, doesn't go to the bathroom, and all kinds of stuff, crazy stuff. And then, like, if you violate at all, if you deviate or have a different opinion or become Christian, you're subject to being executed. They even executed his own brother, I think, or cousin or uncle, allegedly, because some North Korean women or something like that went in and like gave poison gas to like his brother, because his brother snuck out and went to like Disney World in China or somewhere like that. Crazy situation over there. So President Trump is bringing some sanity to the situation. And meanwhile, like, Obama just let him do whatever he wanted because Obama was so weak. People like to think that some liberals like to think that Obama was being, you know, cautious, and that's good that we're not rushing into war. But he did plenty of rushing into war. He was not cautious. He was a beta male, and he was a liberal. Just evil. So yeah, it's very nice to see President Trump making it happen. White history, making history, making American history. Appreciate it, Scott. Thank you, man. Take care.
Absolutely. Thanks, James.
All right. You know, speaking of White History Month, so we've known for a while that whites are under attack. And I have this report it was a tip that I got from Jesse, actually, from Daily Mail TV. See if you can pull it up on that other screen. From Daily Mail TV, New York Police Department cop, NYPD cop, speaks out about the Central Park 5 Netflix series. And according to what I heard, he might have been one of the arresting officers of the Central Park 5. I've talked about this in the past, where the Central Park 5, there's a whole myth about it, that they had been forced to, their confessions were forced or coerced. There's no evidence for that whatsoever. The Central Park 5 are 5 black and Hispanic, I think, teenagers from the early 90s or so, who were in the New York City's Central Park, and they were known for beating up people. They beat up one guy with a pipe, and he looked like bloodied up his head. And they had committed assaults, and they were doing kind of like what a lot of black mobs do to this day, where they'll just attack people at random, just run across the area. And so Jesse came across this story from Daily Mail TV, where this officer is talking about the whole situation, that this Netflix is putting out this series called When They See Us. And it's basically a propaganda piece promoting the false notion that these Central Park 5 people who are adults today, and they promote Black Lives Matter and all kinds of stupid madness, are victims. And he's saying they're not victims, they're perpetrators, and he believes that they're guilty of the rape because of physical evidence. There were grass stains on one guy's underwear. There was blood and semen on them, hair. It's just a mess. And so, but the false thing is, one of them spent 13 years in jail, in prison, I believe, because one of them was an adult, I think, and the rest of them were minors. Those minors spent like 7 years in jail or something. And they had confessed to the beatings and the rapes and the rape in front of adult family members. You know, it's not like they had got them in a room by themselves and scared them or anything like that. They had confessed to it, and Trump had pulled out this full-page ad in the New York Times saying that people like this deserve the death penalty. People who do this deserve the death penalty. Just a violent rape. The woman lost there was this jogger woman who got raped in this incident, and she lost most of her blood. She doesn't even remember the incident. And so Trump said, oh, maybe I shouldn't have called for the death penalty. But he never really apologized because, hey, they confessed to it. And it was a vicious assault. And they'd been roving gangs of hoodlums, young teen hoodlums, kind of like Antifa. So they do that. And now this Ava DuVernay, black propagandist woman who makes movies that are pretty bad, pretty embarrassing. I watched one movie by her called Selma, and it was about the MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., and he was played by an actual African guy, Daniel Oyelowo, played MLK. Pretty embarrassing. But the story was bad. It was just blatant propaganda, making the whites look like demons. So she made this Netflix series, and Netflix is awful. Unsubscribed from Netflix because Netflix also enlisted the Obamas. So they're just promoting the worst propaganda imaginable. But this is a very hyped TV series, or Netflix series, by Ava DuVernay, When They See Us. And millions of people are watching it and being brainwashed to believe that the cops did an injustice on the Central Park 5. Just like the brainwashing, the fake news media lies about Trayvon Martin being an innocent victim who was murdered. He was not murdered. He was killed in self-defense. And same thing with the Michael Brown and Tamir Rice and all these other people that were so-called victims. The Tamir Rice one was more unfortunate, I guess, but he was like pointing a fake gun at people. That's like asking for trouble. And anyway, that gun actually never had the orange tip on it either. It's a pellet gun, realistic looking one. Maybe it had been painted over, but those, I actually have one of those things, those pellet guns somewhere. Maybe back I don't know, somewhere. But yeah, you don't go around to a park in Cincinnati, Ohio, pointing a gun at people. This is just a side note. So they're promoting this false notion that the cops were racist, the prosecutors were racist. These two women were prosecutors, and it's basically all lies. And these women are still alive to this day, and they're putting them in danger. You know, Darren Wilson, former officer Darren Wilson of Ferguson, Missouri, he had to go into hiding, and he can only hang out with fellow whites because he's so hated and brainwashed that that people, by brainwashed people, that it's not safe for him to go out, and he did his job. So, anyways, more about white history. The Brookings Institute, this is a story tip. Thank you, spoiler alert. Less than half of U.S. children under 15 are white, census shows. So whites are already a minority among the kids. And I mentioned that James Fields, the guy who ran into the crowd in the Charlottesville riot, after Antifa was hitting his car, his Dodge Charger or whatever, he freaked out, and he had some anger issues. Like he had a single mother, just a mess, kind of like these violent blacks, coming from single mothers, angry, messed up situations. So he got provoked apparently, and he took off and ran into a crowd of people, and he pleaded guilty to a hate crime. I don't think he should have done that. I don't know. I don't see where there was evidence of that, but got life in prison. But I mean, he drove into a crowd. The woman, what I heard, she had a heart attack after that and died. Heather Heyer. They were beating on his car, and he had to get out of there. But shouldn't have driven into that crowd. I don't know. He might have freaked out. Angry guy, maybe. But such a mess. Whites under attack, and it was like a political thing. I think, if I remember correctly, it was Dylan Roof. Dylan Roof, Loretta Lynch sought the death penalty for him, I think, because he went into that crowd, that church, that black church, and massacred them. He went into a black church because he counted on them not being armed. He thought about going against drug dealers, but drug dealers shoot back. So, such a mess. Charles, out of Compton, California. Charles, how are you doing?
I'm all right, James. How about yourself?
Fine. Long time no hear.
Right. I had to touch bases with you. I just happened to be tuning in for a second.
Right.
James, I'm a little disappointed in you. You're spreading misinformation regarding the Central Park 5.
And what misinformation is that?
Okay.
What did I say that's not true?
There were a group of about 30 teenagers that were being rambunctious earlier. We agree with that.
And by being rambunctious, meaning beating people up and robbing them.
We don't. The only people that were convicted of that, that was a side note, and that was a separate thing that went on, because this is a different time frame. So you're conflating two totally different things. Because when we're talking about the rape and the beating of the woman, that happened later on. And there was DNA evidence that connected the actual rapist, who had done the same thing prior with no assistance, beat and raped other women, which he was already convicted of, and he was imprisoned of doing the same
for
thing.
life.
So these guys had nothing to do.
He had a life
with
sentence.
Right.
That other guy had a life sentence. I think he had murdered people.
Right. And he was convicted, and he was connected through DNA evidence to the lady that was raped that night. So that.
And what about the other 5? That evidence wasn't real, what I mentioned?
No, it wasn't. You were lying, actually, because I don't know why you're holding on to lies when at this point we understand that the one guy never even went to the park. He went there as a show of support for his friend. And he ended up doing the
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, Charles.
Lies was
you know that this case was never retried.
Because they were acquitted. Because
they were not acquitted. They were not acquitted. You're giving the fake news.
No, they were acquitted, actually.
They were not acquitted. They were convicted. They were convicted. Hold on, Charles. They were convicted, and then their sentences were vacated. They were never declared not guilty. They were never acquitted. They never got retried.
Why do you think their sentences were vacated?
Their sentences were vacated because they figured, and they got sued and turned very liberal. They got. Hold on. You asked me a question. Let me answer your question, Charles. Charles.
Look, James, please stop misinforming people.
Okay, I'm putting Charles on hold. Their sentences were vacated because they had already served 7 years, 13 years in prison for beating people. Beating. the beatings. They were convicted of the beatings and rapes. They were convicted of the rape too. And they had hair, semen, blood. One of them had a grass stain on his, this is before, I don't know if they were sagging at this point, meaning that their underwear would be exposed. But one of them had a grass stain on his underwear, and they admitted to it. There was no evidence that they had been forced to confess. So Charles is accusing me of lying when I haven't lied.
You have lied.
No, I didn't. You didn't even mention one lie that I said.
Next her to the rape.
You didn't even mention one lie that I said. You just told me about two incidents, which is irrelevant.
You've made. I've mentioned multiple lies that you made, actually, sir. I just want you to stop misinforming people because...
No, I'm telling the truth. Okay, how about this? How about the guy that was beat with a pipe? That they had been part of that.
No, there were two other guys who were convicted of that. That was a separate crime. Two people, that look up the records, two people were convicted of that. That was a separate incident. There may have been 30 kids out acting rambunctious, and they may have been part of that group, but they didn't get convicted.
Yeah, they were convicted. They were convicted.
No.
All right, Charles, I got to go, man. Take care. Make sure you catch church. They were not coerced. There's no evidence. Now you're lying because there's no evidence of a coerced. There's no evidence. There's no evidence of a coerced thing. So don't fall for the lies. Charles, unfortunately, he's a nice guy, but he falls for this stuff. Got to get out of the blackness, man. And whites are falling in the same thing. They're falling into the whiteness. But actually, you just gotta, I don't know, catch church. Make sure you catch church with Jesse Lee Peterson, rebuildingtheman.com/church. It'll kind of solve the issues within. All right, guys, take care.
What?